Alright guys, just wanted to do a quick rig rundown of how I'm using my gear live, my current setup. It's a little bit different than what most people use as a traditional rig, so I'm just going to break it down. If this video gets some good amount of likes, or people just want me to dive in more, I can go ahead and do that. So, and probably make another video, but this is just going to be really basic. So the first thing I'm going into, coming out of my guitar, is the Bogner Harlow compressor. It's a great compressor. It's got a Neve preamp in it. Comes with like a boost and then a very simple compressor to use. Really love it. Even for my old rig, from when I had a traditional pedal board setup, this was still on there. And that and the HX Stomp are the main thing that have been consistent through that whole thing. So right now I'm using a mono pedal board. It's the Light Plus, I believe, so it's the smaller one, but the one up. And everything is being powered by the Chox 7, which is an awesome power unit, which I need to power the HX Stomp. So from the Harlow, we go into the HX Stomp, which you can see, has had a long and hard life. I've used this in many applications and I love it. I like to tell everyone it's like the Swiss Army knife of pedals, because it can do so much and it does it great. So there's a few ways I'm running this rig. So one way is through presets, and I mainly like to do this whenever there's a set list that has various set presets that I need to run. Like for example, my clean, sometimes I need a dotted eighth delay or a quarter note delay, and sometimes like my special one is going to be, as you can see, a chorus pedal. But to make this short, pretty much I have my presets, a special, which is like for any intro or anything specific that I really need to nail. I have my clean, which is just a clean preset with like a dotted eighth, quarter note delay, nice reverb on there. A light drive, which is the same thing as the clean preset, just with a, I guess you could call it like the Centaur, I think is the preset, like a clone copy overdrive. Then I've got my heavy drive, which is mainly my rhythm patch, which is just another Centaur. And I keep on saying Centaur, I know it's a clone, but the Centaur is the HX Stomp preset. So just a really gained up, and that's honestly my drive of choice for the HX Stomp. I don't use anything else. The Centaur is just really nice sounding, really clear, really fat sounding for me, which is what I like for my rhythm tone. For my lead tone, it's the same thing. It's just the clean and the rhythm preset Centaurs put together and stacked. And as you can see, I'm running a delay and a reverb for that. Then we've got my swell patch, which has the auto swell delay, quarter note, and a dotted eighth, and then 2 reverbs to give it a really spacey sound. So that's one way I run my presets when I play live. Now the other thing, you might have noticed that some of these have different switches on the actual HX Stomp. So the Morningstar MC6 is connected obviously via MIDI to the HX Stomp, and this is what's controlling everything. So I have set pedals that I can turn on and off through the HX Stomp. For example, if I'm playing a rhythm on my, or if I'm using my rhythm channel and we're ending a song and I really just want it to ring out, instead of having to click on a completely different preset or build anything up, I can just turn on quarter note delay straight off the HX Stomp. Or if I need to add a chorus, just, I don't know, for whatever reason, if I'm feeling like the song calls for it, I can turn it off on the spot. But then if I go to my lead and come back to my rhythm tone, they're completely turned off. Also works for my lead. As you can see here, whatever song I was playing before, the last time I used this, had a octave lead on it. So, you know, if I'm just doing a lead that's consistent throughout the whole song, but then the second time around I just want to thicken it up or add some variation to the song, I can add the octave, which is already programmed into the preset right there. I don't have to do anything crazy. Same thing for like the light drive. If the light drive, there's some songs like Great Things or Tremble, where you kind of just have to throw in the chorus in randomly. I can do that also, and then like I said, I can turn it on, but then when I go back to another preset, it's off. And then I can also just program it to where I can save it and it'll be on right away. I can make another video and dive into that a little bit more. The other way I'm running this, so that's a preset technique that I'm using for this one. It's very, like I said, it's mainly for songs that have very specific things, like for Great Things by Phil Wickham. Like this one has a chorus and a dotted eighth delay and a reverb. For stuff like that, where I have parts that I'm more focused on or just want to focus more on the worship and being in the moment, I usually go to these just because it's so easy to get to everything. I don't have to overthink it, or if I'm just thrown into a very last minute set list and just need to, you know, play some basic patches, don't really want to be tap dancing all over my board, that's what I will use. So the other way I use this, which is an awesome way, I have a preset called Free Reign. I know it's a very, very corny name for it, but I can get out of this preset mode, and my last bank has all of these individual effects set up. So I use all 8 blocks on the HX song. Now I'll use this way for any sort of jam, or like for example when we play with our youth band, sometimes it's more of a jam, more kind of like a punk kind of feel to it, or just an approach to it. And it's more of just trying to see what effects fit for the song or the part that I'm playing. And then eventually all of these effects over here are the same effects that are in the presets that I've had in the for the preset mode that I was talking about. So here, like I said, I've just got a clone copy. That's just the one, for example, that would be on my light drive. Heavy would be the one that's gained up a little bit more, and if I turn both on, that would be my lead tone. Got a dotted eighth delay programmed on the Morningstar, a quarter note, spring reverb, and one that I call my epic, which I don't know exactly what type of reverb that is. It might be just like the shimmer preset or something on this. It might be a cave actually. And then same thing, so my main 6 effects are all programmed on the Morningstar, and I can turn these on individually. I can have them all on. So it's very different. Like I said, this is more for like a jam setting where I just want to see what fits, or I can just have a clean palette and then slowly start building up to get an idea of what my effects sound like. So 6 of my presets, obviously the Morningstar can only do 6, but then I've got 2, so my chorus and my octave effects are programmed on the HX Stomp. So I have a total of 8 toggle switches that I can move around in and turn all of the individual effects on and off. And like I said, I'll mainly use this for jam sessions or just to start planning on what effects I'll need for the presets, and then I can just bank up, and then we'll go to bank 1 and we'll go back to preset mode. So there's a lot more you can do with the Morningstar. It's honestly a great unit. But this is mainly what I use for my my live rig. The HX Stomp is pretty much the heart of everything. I have nothing but great things to say about the HX Stomp. All of the effects I personally think sound amazing. I'm not a huge fan of the amp modeling or the cab sim that it has to offer. Since it is a smaller unit, I just think the DSP isn't up to par as, say, like a full Helix unit. But that's where the next part of my rig comes in. So from the HX Stomp, we go into a Focusrite Scarlett Solo audio interface. And then from here, we go USB out to my MacBook Pro. And then for my MacBook Pro, I have Cubase open, and I'm using Neural DSP plugins. And the main one that I've been using for the past year that I've been using this live rig is the Plini archetype. And I'm just using this for amp sim. So all of the pedals are turned off. This is the amp preset that I'm using. And the cool thing about this is when I started using this, our sound guy came in and wasn't too happy with the tone that I was using, since I was setting everything up at home for recording guitars. There was a lot of mid and treble that was not sounding the best for a live setting, so he came in and I gave him free range on the EQ, and he was able to, you know, add a little bit more low end to the tone live and take away some of that high end, so my tone would sound much better and a lot fatter. So shouts out to him for doing that for me. So that's the EQ. This is the speaker sim. So the cab sim is something that you would think I would have on, but I actually don't run any cab sim from the Neural DSP. It sounds good for modern metal, and no knock on it, but for live worship, it just really wasn't cutting it for what I like to do. But I will show you what I'm using instead of the cab sim from Neural. And then for wet effects, I don't really have any delay on. I have a little bit of reverb on, but it's barely noticeable, just so it doesn't sound completely dry. And if you're playing worship, you know that you do need a little bit of space and ethereal, I don't even know if that's the right word, but more of like a spacey vibe to everything. So it's not doing a whole lot. It's barely on, you can barely hear it, but it just adds a little bit of depth to it. And then over here, you can see I have the Archetype Plini plugin. And like I said, I have the cab sim turned off on the plugin itself, so I'm strictly just using the amp head, which this is the clean amp in the Plini plugin, which sounds amazing. Have nothing but great things to say about Neural. They really sound just amazing in the live and in the live setting and in the studio setting. So this is where my cab sim comes in. The Get Good Drums has a collab with Zilla, and they did a bunch of cab sim, I believe they're called impulse responses, or I honestly don't know the term for it. But this is what I'm running live. It's a little bit gnarly, might be overkill, but all I know is that my tone sounds great, it sounds fat. When I'm playing by myself or with with another guitarist, it just fills up the guitar aspect of things in the live setting very well. Get a lot of compliments on it, so I mean, you know, I really don't mess with it. This is actually a preset straight from the program. I don't know which one this is. Yeah, I have no idea. But all I know is that it's pretty much a 4x12. So I'm running 4 4x12 cabs, which I imagine if they're basket weave, they're probably some sort of like orange, like based off an orange cab. But the big difference are the mics and the speakers. So I'm running one with a Heritage speaker, creamback, 2 creamback speakers, and another Heritage speaker. And then the only thing that's different are the mics. So I'm running like a SM57, a KM184, and an NTR mic. I don't know a whole lot about mics besides the SM57. I personally own one, and they sound great for recording metal, but never thought they would sound insanely good in a live worship setting. So it's just a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different from what most people are using compared to like a normal amp and pedal board setup in the live worship. And it honestly runs really smooth, and nothing really is different on all of these. All of these are set at the same level. Everything is just set to close. So from the archetype head, we run into these 4 cabs. And I'm running mono, I'm not running anything stereo. Since we usually have another guitarist in the live setting, I really don't see the need of muddying up our mix and having my effects and my tone just be spread out that much, considering that it's already a fat tone to begin with, and it just takes up a lot of the space on stage. I really would not want to run anything stereo. So from all of that, from the head to the cab sim, it goes back out to the very basic audio out of the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, just straight into the PA, and that's honestly my rig, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple to me. I love using it. It does take a little bit of time to wire up and get ready when we're getting prepped for Sundays or rehearsals, but honestly, the MacBook Pro, I'm not running a fan under it, and it's the only program I have open when I'm running my rig live, and it sounds awesome. It's never crashed, it's never failed on me. The only thing I would suggest if you plan on doing anything similar to this would be to make sure that your sleep setting is turned off and always have it connect to the battery. But I've never had the HX Stomp fail on me, or the Harlow, or the Focusrite. I just always get there with a little bit of time ahead of everyone else and make sure that everything is powered, that I have my signal coming through the PA system, and that's pretty much it. And the main reason I don't run anything analog and mainly stick to digital is because of the consistency. The same tone that I've played a year back is the same tone that's still coming through. I don't have to worry about putting my pedal board or my amp into a case or a gig bag and having my settings change for the next time that I have to play live. So that's a huge thing for me. I love the consistency. I know our sound guys love it, just due to the fact that they don't have to remix every time I go on stage. They pretty much just know what they're gonna get every single time. Same thing goes for the Plini plugin. Pretty much, I don't know if you can see, but behind this is just live preset, and I have that folder saved on my desktop as a shortcut. And once I get the tone and the sound that I want as far as amp and EQ, I just go ahead and save it. Or if there's any different guitars, I have 2 guitars that I mainly switch in and out of. One has lower output pickups than the other, and different woods, so the tone does change a little bit. But when we do change the EQ on the amp or the 9-band EQ, pretty much I just save it to a different preset. So this one will be like a live preset. My other guitar is a Jackson, so I'll save it live preset / Jackson, and it'll just be the same effects, everything's the same, just a little bit of a EQ tweak to accommodate for the different pickups and the different wood tones. But overall, it's a very consistent rig. I could not be happier, and I haven't been happier with this rig or any other rig I've used. I've gone from a traditional pedal board of having everything daisy chained together using a one-stop or a one-spot power supply, to using a Disaster Effects loop switcher where I would have multiple effects plugged into the looper and then have presets similar to the way I have it set up now. But honestly, with using Cubase, the Neural DSP plugins, the Get Good Drum plugins, and the HX Stomp, everything is just a lot easier, everything's a lot more smooth. I know what I'm getting. If there's a chorus effect, if there's an octave effect that I like, I just set it to the preset, save it. I don't have to think about it anymore. I know that that's gonna be the preset that I have every single time I go to click the switcher, and all I have to do is go on my computer, save it as a backup, and export all my settings using the Line 6 app, and then I can get those same settings and upload them to Google Drive and just have them backed up in case, you know, I lose them on my computer or something happens to the HX Stomp. I can always just retrieve that. Same thing with the Neural DSP. If my computer crashes, I have those files saved on the drive and I can download it on any other MacBook Pro. Just download my preset, open up Cubase, and it'll be there. So yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know it's a very weird and different way of setting up a rig for a worship setting, but it's what works for me, man, and honestly I could not be happier. So if you guys want me to do a video running through all my settings and just giving you an idea of what everything sounds like, or just, you know, a tutorial on how to set everything up, it is a little bit of a learning curve using the Morningstar MC6 and having to program everything MIDI. That does take a while, and I would say the payoff is definitely, it's there. Like, it's definitely worth the time to sit down and really program everything. But the consistency and what you're getting out of it is worth it 100%. So yeah, just let me know what else you guys would like for me to talk about, and if I could make a better video of this, I think I probably would. Just going into everything a little bit deeper. But for right now, this is where I'm gonna start off to. So.